All right, everybody, we are officially live, which means it's time to roll them amazing credits. And you are at our new time, or not even our new time, just as a heads up. This was our original time. We're just coming back, and we'll explain why after the credits.
This is COMiX Newswire giving you the buzz coming off the wire about the comic book industry. Turn that volume up and give us a few minutes to keep you in the loop of everything going on in the industry today.
I would first like to introduce our co-host, Mike. Tell him who you are.
Hey guys, Mike Loden, creator, writer of Elysian Fields, and your co-host on this fantastic news program. You can find me at Twitter at Elysian Fields _0. You can find me on Facebook, Michael Oden, or Nine Realms Publishing if you want to follow the publishing company side of things. And we have our Indiegogo live right now in demand. And we'll be closing that out here in the next week and a half or so. So be sure you get in on it.
All right. And because we're on a new audience now, we're part of Geek Insider, by the way. Mm-hmm. We've been talking about this. Everything was officially cemented over the weekend. We now have a redirect and all that. I have to introduce myself because I could be meeting a new audience that I didn't even expect. So here's the devil explained.
Mr. Anderson is the unboxable advocating creator known as the devilish comics creator who will tempt you with his devilish tales. He creates books about fetish, monsters, and more, and offers free spanks and hugs. He also teaches morals with farts. Check out the Comics Devil by going to MrAnderson.com.
And yes, we're on Tuesdays, not Thursdays. I know a lot of people are like, wait, I don't see Michael on the news until Thursday. And usually we have Josh Lyman. Here's the deal, guys. The indie news, which you guys see as our background right now, has actually moved. The indie news is now going to be actually on Thursdays. The reason that we're actually doing that is just real simple. I mean, it's nothing bigger than the fact that we're looking ahead now. The pandemic has come. The pandemic is, it's still around, don't get me wrong, but we're adjusting to it. You can't stand that bubble of hyper-awareness about this. And we needed to get something at least similar to a plan for the future because we just don't know anymore. So instead of worrying about what tomorrow's going to bring, we're doing what's best for programming. Thursdays are better for the indie news because of the forecast. We could talk about the cons that are coming up and all that on Thursdays as opposed to Tuesdays. And that's how it was originally. We would do more entertainment on Tuesdays. This week, it's a little slow with entertainment news, which is okay because we kind of switched in the middle of, we went last Thursday and went Tuesday. It was going to be a shorter week, but it was an okay transition week. As you'll see in the news, something big is happening this week, and I'm pretty sure a lot of the news is being held back for that event that's happening. But yeah, this is officially going to now be Tuesdays are going to be the COMiX news, and we're going to use the COMiX newsroom backing while we're doing that stuff for you. And again, Comic Book Advocates is now part of Geek Insider, and we are covering comics for them. If you want to know more things about geeks, they cover the rest. We cover the comics. And I think that's pretty exciting. And I think that's just the catch up right there. 11 o'clock was our always our time back in the day. We just came home. We came back. We eliminated the 4 o'clock hour because I think, people like Michael never even stopped working, right?
No, I didn't. And then, things got switched up on me in like the weirdest turn of events on the face of the planet for my job. But so like this schedule certainly fits me a bit better because Tuesdays is my off day. So it's that's nice.
And you guys are going to be entering the COMiX newsroom with us right now. Thank you all for journeying with us. And yeah, when Michael mentioned it, because I hadn't talked to Michael about the changing of hours, because this was something I'd been planning for the fall. But is there even a fall this year? It feels like there is no season. I don't even know if we're going to get fall television, to be honest with you. I just don't know. You know, like they're talking about movies filming and all this. And movies filming make more sense because you could actually set up on an island or in an area and close the set and control exposure.
Well, I mean, going into that, even with that, is like you also have like certain big budget movies are starting to like pull their release dates indefinitely. The big one that happened with recently was obviously Christopher Nolan's upcoming film Tenet got pushed off indefinitely because Nolan is adamant that it be released in theaters, and so like fall television, it's the same kind of like I'm sure that they probably have a few episodes filmed, but nothing to put out there and keep people in tune for the season. It's going to be a very weird latter half of 2020 going into 2021.
Well, we'll see. I'm sure there's a bunch of stuff they had. Who knows? Maybe they'll play pilots for the first time ever. There's always talk about doing that during the writer's strike. Maybe we'll see some pilots from days long gone. We'd see that Wonder Woman pilot on television finally that didn't make it. Speaking of things that are changed,
you want to see that.
I like to see everything just to see where they went wrong sometimes too, and be happy. That's kind of like where you go with a couple friends, you go, this is going to be good, and you sit there and you make fun of it the whole time. One of the things that have been changing, though, I do want to acknowledge, if you didn't notice, we've retired our logo. Yes. The logo with Jax on it has been retired because Jax has become a comic book series on its own with Cat Dad and Supermom. Plus, it did make us look like we covered all ages when we didn't cover all ages sometimes. We cover all comics. So the new, thank you, Josh Lyman, co-host of Indie News, for the logo. And I thought about having a contest where we had someone draw it, but then I looked at this and I was like, why not just keep it simple? After the year we're having, why don't we just make things simple? And this is our new look, and we're going to keep this until 2021 so that you're getting your full updates now. And the reason we did the full updates now, just being pragmatic. Like I said, this is not a normal year. I didn't get to be on the floor on the show floors at cons. I had extra time. And honestly, there's nothing to do right now in life. There really isn't. I mean, there's Netflix, but I have, I have my 5-year-old. I can't always watch things in the middle of the day that are inappropriate to him. I literally have movies I have to watch when his mom comes to get him.
Yeah, no, I'm at kind of the same point. Like my son's 2, so I'm not quite at that point yet. But I do have to be very careful about what I watch because he's starting to he's imprinting. So like if I watch something with a whole bunch of bad language and then all of a sudden my son goes home and is going off to play with other kids and is swearing like a sailor, it's problematic.
Not if he uses the curses right in my home. I'm happy to go to school and go, well, how did he use the curse? Well, that sounds right. He understands the language.
I mean, I guess.
They're not going to like me. Although I will be honest, I started growing up, like the Mohawk was meant for the Independence Con that we were doing that became the indie event. And I wanted to try a Mohawk for the first time because I had enough time to grow it back out because I wouldn't be at shows. Mm-hmm. As soon as Tampa got canceled, I shaved and gave myself a Mohawk.
I saw that.
But school's about to start. And so now I can't be the dad with the Mohawk because then, especially I'm going to a new school. If I was going back to Jax's old school, it wouldn't have mattered. They know I create comics. They know I'm cool and I'm supportive of the school. They wouldn't even blink an eye. They would just be like, hey, what's up, Rob? Cool haircut. But you go into a new school and people are judging you and you just have to be aware of that. And I'm not going to have my son get dinged because I decided I wanted a fashion statement.
Yeah, no, and I think that's the right way to go about it. At the end of the day, you need to take in consideration everything that you do could possibly reflect on your kid, and it could turn into the other kids trying to be mean and what have you.
Well, he doesn't deal with that yet because he's a special needs kid. He's got the autism. Yeah. So I don't think that's there, but the parents even. Parents, other parents and other problems.
There's that too.
You just got to watch it. But I hate when I say but. It's one of those things that I do it and my asshole clenches. I'm like, oh, why would you say that?
You know what you know what it reminds me of is the whole episode of How I Met Your Mother when they find out that when they notice that Robin says "but all the time during her.
Yes, I saw that.
The drinking game.
I was a fan of that show until the last 2 seasons. For some reason, the last 2 seasons were just like pulling teeth.
I heard the best defense of the final season of How I Met Your Mother, but we'll talk about that off air because that's not what we're here for.
Yeah, it's definitely not news. That happened a long time ago. So let's get into that. Now that we've warmed up, we had our early morning conversation. I know you're all eager to hear about the news. 11 a.m. Welcome to those in California. You're just waking up. That's why I like 11 a.m. We're getting our California audience just waking up now. We have our East Coasters about to hit lunch, and then we get the views during the afternoon. I know this is a new time area, so I'm not exactly sure we're going to get a lot of comments. And speaking of comments, I'm actually changing up my profile because it always sets it as private. Welcome to StreamYard. If you guys are running StreamYard, make sure you go in and make yours public. For some reason, Facebook updated where it automatically goes private on profiles. Not on pages, ironically, or groups, just profiles. But we're going to get into the news now. The links to the news, you can see we made them buttons like an elevator. And I guess I had elevator pitch on my mind, that new show we're trying to work out.
Yeah.
There you go, COMiX news, forecast. We don't know when the forecast is really going to begin. The good news is there are some shows actually starting to happen. The thing is, I don't want to publicly promote them, not because I'm against them, but because I don't want them getting too much attention. Some of the ones I think are deliberately trying to be under the radar right now.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to be that dick who outs them.
Oh, well, too bad for your plans.
Yeah.
Indiana,
you're going to have a show? No, you're not. As long as we get thousands of viewers, someone's going to complain. So we're gonna back off and wish them all luck. I know there was one last weekend. I got to ask Luke Stone because he's in the area how it went and if he heard any feedback on it. But things are starting to just happen. And we're going to see that in the news today. And as a matter of fact, right now, before we start the news, we're going to start. You'll see more video cuts in this. Some of it's going to be for me to have a moment and adjust or just change topics. Like if we go from one topic to another. But we also want to educate you guys, and we want you guys to see some cool stuff and know what we're up to. So we're going to go ahead and play the Be More video. Be more than just a fan. Become an advocate for comics. Subscribe to comicbookadvocates.com, the site that puts the love of comics first. And there you go. So I'm pretty excited. Good morning, Meredith. I didn't even know Meredith was there. Hey, how you doing, Meredith? And there you go. We put in our link for everything that we see now. You can see too. I'm on Kickstarter. I have until the 29th. Kickstarter is definitely, we're going to talk about this on Thursday. There aren't as many Kickstarters right now or Indiegogos. It's like a ghost town, but professionals have come there. And I think that's just a lot of reflection of there's no money. People don't want to create comics. But here's a question I have for you real quick, Michael. Do you think this is the moment where indie comics thins? By the time we come back in 2021, are we going to see a lot less indie creators? And I mean the screenwriters going away, the people who are using shows to get their Netflix deals, comics is that.
I think that what you're going to see is the people that don't have the passion for it, the people that don't have the talent for it, that came in and tried to do something during this pandemic and everything, and it just didn't pan out. Or, they put something out and it was very clear that this wasn't meant for them. They're probably going to step back. The people who aren't actually committed to it. But what we are going to see is, I feel like a lot of these creators that have come during this pandemic and have excelled, they're going to cement themselves through 2021. So I think that what we'll see is a slight drop off in creators, but then a big pickup on content, because the people that are committed are going to want to keep their customer base. And the best way to do that is put out more content.
Here's my prediction. We're going to see a massive ending of just random projects. All the trope projects, all the the wannabe projects that really aren't unique or interesting in any way. I think those are all going to go away. And I think what we're going to see is a vacuum happen with artists in America, because with so many creators, they've been able to do things. And you're seeing this right now. There are a lot of artists whose rates are suddenly going down.
Yeah.
And they're going down because they can't sell fan art anymore. And they didn't realize how much fan art had meant to their yearly gross. And now they're forced to work with creators. But now there are less creators creating. It's all together. It is not a gigantically great situation for artists right now, because no matter which way they turn, it's difficult. So I think you're going to see a very different show flow. A lot of the shows that do start next year, I'm not sure people will have money for tables.
Yeah.
No one's even talking about that yet. You're going to see less people signing up at first, because they're just not going to have the disposable income to commit to these shows. Because a lot of fan artists, they're going to be wiped out this year because you can't sell it online, because then Disney comes for you.
Yeah.
So I do think we're going to see a huge shift. I hope as many people as possible survive what's going to happen. Because, you know, even though I'm not a huge fan of fan art, I am understanding it is a way to try to live. And right now that way to live has been taken away. And I'd said that I wasn't going to make much comment on fan art. And to be honest, after seeing Kickstarter allow a Star Wars thing to go on and another one come right behind it, then
really?
what am I saying?
There's another campaign?
There's two more now. There's even a Disney princess one.
Jesus. Okay.
Why am I trying to champion copyrights if no one else gives a shit?
I mean, I'm surprised that the Star Wars book has gotten as far as it's got like almost 50% funding. It's not going to make it. It's not going to make it. I think it has like what, 5 days left,
something like that. Yeah. So,
like,
but one thing that you can help make it is Ava,
yeah.
Comic Book One. This is awesome. Definitely check it out. Tomorrow, I think we're going to go noon. We're switching on the teas, Tuesdays and Thursdays. Tuesdays will be the entertainment brought to us by Indie Volt. You'll hear that in 1 second. More the mainstream news. Indie news is on Thursdays. I'm going to check with Josh. Maybe we can get Josh on this week. He's been feeling better. I can't wait to get him back with us. So here's Iva.
And Rob, you'll be proud of me. I finally went and backed the book, so I got that. I got the duffel bag perk.
Oh, nice. So she's close then to the goal. I mean,
yeah, she's right there.
4,231. Let's take a minute and watch it. Now, the cool thing about moving to 11 is that we can also extend an hour now, some over the hour. Originally, we were trying to stay by the hour, but now we can do about 90 minutes because Michael doesn't have to run out of here.
No.
We used to have to be like, okay, wrap it up. Mike's got to be out.
It's like, I have to go sprint to work now.
Yeah. So here is a wonderful tale, and check it out. I believe this is the new video too. It's a 2-minute video, and it's really concise. So let's check it out.
Iva is a cyberpunk comic book series based on a love of 80s sci-fi and fantasy fiction. The story is set in the Ardent Nation, an upbeat, stylized technological utopia set in the 23rd century. However, all is not what it seems. Individuality and privacy are rare commodities that only the governing elite are privileged to. So imagine, if you will, social media becoming the governing body of a surviving nation. Everything about you and what you do since the day you were born is automatically streamed onto your timeline. This is then monitored by a totalitarian regime known as Mainframe. Mainframe's prime directive is to compete for technological advancement and for survival in a post-apocalyptic world. In the spirit of fighting cyber-terrorism, people of the Ardent Nation are kept on a short leash through the use of surveillance implants. The message is simple: comply with Mainframe's standard behavior protocol or be rehabilitated. It's all about working as a collective for a common cause while suppressing any scope for individual thought and self-expression. Iva is now complete and ready for publication. It's a labour of love that's been brought to life by the epic illustrative skills of Timothy Green II. It's an extraordinary journey, one of which we hope our readers will join us on.
Now, the reason this actually makes it into our more mainstream news is the artist behind this, for those who don't know, actually worked on the Aeon Flux comic book series.
Yeah.
So this actually, she's a fantastic fashion designer herself. Great team together. Super excited about this. We're going to go ahead and we're going to drop that link in for you guys to back it. We have some comments. I don't want to be rude to our viewing audience, because we do want to be able to answer anything. So what do we got? Josh, I think Josh said something, but I don't know why.
Yeah, he said he had jokingly said fan art, you say.
Well, I mean, it literally, I mean, fan art's totally different now than it once was. Even like, I don't know, you know, realistically, you shouldn't do fan art. But I mean, if you, and I see right here, Meredith says, whoa, Disney didn't send out the mouse to slam it down. No. So why am I even telling anyone what they can and can't do? As an IP holder, if you touch my IP, I will come at you. I will come at you for damages. That has not changed. I don't think it's flattering to make my stuff without permission. And I would be okay if an artist came to me and said, hey, Rob, I want to draw your character. What if I give you some prints and, you know, I limit the amount of prints? I'd be okay with that. I'd even encourage Disney to do that, and Marvel and DC, all of them to do that. Work with artists. I think there's a better way forward, but right now they just don't care, so why should I care? I mean, if Disney and Kickstarter won't stop that, and Kickstarter's a whole other bag of worms. There are creators out there now launching campaigns without fulfilling their first campaign.
Yeah, that's unacceptable.
And they're late by months, but it's been a year since they funded.
Jesus.
Yeah, so I'm this close to debating whether or not we should call the person out. But because it's a single issue, I don't think that it's necessary, but he just better never cross my path asking me for an opinion on what he's doing, because I'll make sure of that. So like I said, Indie News is now on Thursdays, 11 a.m. We won't be talking much about fan art on that one, because truthfully, it's let people do what they're going to do. I kind of give up with that topic now. Mason will be happy to hear that I won't be really talking about it too much, just because it's their job, not mine. I've said my piece. I don't think it. I think that you should create your own original stuff. That's just my own opinion. But if no one's going to stop you, you can make money. It's like that when we were growing up. We all had friends who were I had friends who were drug dealers, and there's someone buying the drugs, you know. And here's the thing: there are no cops stopping them. So imagine if a drug dealer didn't have to worry about cops. Of course, he'd sell more drugs, or she'd sell more drugs. So, you know, fan art's just a drug for fandom, you know, and no one's stopping anyone from getting high. Our news is going to be brought to us today by Indie Volt, the Varian Grant, Randy, and Lola, the Indie Princess, are behind the amazing shows on Indie Volt. I have one now called The Devil's Advocate. I will tell you guys what the topic will be a little later. But make sure to subscribe, download the app, and be part of the Indie Volt experience and give your fandom a recharge. And tonight, Tuesday. Go ahead.
Do we have any update on how Varian's doing?
He's doing better. It's for him to tell. I can tell you better, and the rest of it will be for him to share or not share.
That's fair.
Go ahead.
I just wanted to check in because I tried reaching out to him here the other day and he didn't get back to me, which is fine. I know he's going through a lot of stuff, but I wanted to see if there had been an update on him because going through what he's going through, it can't be easy.
Yeah, well, I mean, we send love to Varian. I always say this, and I'll say it publicly every time I'm asked. He is one of the kindest people that you can actually be part of. He's got a wicked sense of humor that he's known for, but people don't realize how big his heart is and just the opportunities he gives to other people. And he's probably, and he downplays it, but he is probably the smartest person in the room 90% of the time. And I include myself in being in the room with him and him still being smarter. Because he sees it in a way that very few of us do, and he has the ability to not let ego get in the way. It is rare for him to get mad, and he has reason to be mad more often than not. It takes a lot to push him over. But as we saw, do I have the angry picture of Varian in here? As we saw,
the one that was buzzed by He Who Shall Not Be Named.
Yes, when you make Varian mad, you're going to get it. You're going to get it.
He looks like he's about to come at you with a freaking hatchet.
That's Karen Dixon right there. Karen Dixon, you've been warned. You've been warned. You can call the fofo, but it ain't going to change anything. All right, so back to being adults for 5 minutes.
Wait, do we have to?
Supposedly. I don't want to get yelled at again. So now I'm on Geek Insider, so I have to behave a little bit better. So we're going to have to come up with aliases to make fun of people. Like Karen Dixon. And they didn't say I had to behave that much. They just said, little down. Turn it down.
A little bit down.
A little bit down. So
we'll dial it down to like 7.
Well, we'll put it on Psych. Psych is a great program. If you don't know it, the second movie's now on Peacock. I did not put the Peacock address in. Just look up Peacock Network. You'll be able to get the new app. Watch this. I believe Psych 2 is free for now, but you have to get the app to see some of the other programming. It's weird. They have different tiers now. Like these apps are coming out with a free base version.
So are these movies in any way related to like the old show that used to be on?
Same characters. Cool. Same characters. It doesn't necessarily adhere 100% to the story, but it shows things from the other story. So, I mean, it's definitely the same characters. Everything's there. It's just we don't see that. Josh says, "Oh, the Indie Devil opening up his feelings." No, they're still in the box under my bed. I'm Irish. That's where we keep them. But Psych 2, Lassie Come Home, great movie. I've already seen it. 2 thumbs up. So my humor will be more on the level of Psych and less on the HBO After Dark. So you might see some pineapples on the show coming forward. But I really like that. But let's get serious. Let's get into the news. And this is what you're all here for. And it took us 27 minutes to get here. But we did cover a lot of preamble news because some people might have expected some indie stuff. It's kind of why this has been a hybrid today. So here we go. This I could not believe. This pissed me off. This made me so mad. I don't know if this crossed your radar.
I hadn't seen this. This is stupid.
Yeah. Oh my God.
On par with the Time article, stupid.
Yeah.
Like I don't think that there's anything else that really needs to be said.
Well, it should also be said this very quickly. Not only is this extremely... Look, if you're offended, stay in your fucking lane. I don't care that you're offended. Do you ever think that your face offends me? Do you ever think how your parenting offends me? Do you ever think your perfume offends me? The way you dress offends me? And I'm not talking to you girls who wear really tight things and those yoga pants. I'm not talking about you. I'm talking about you people who you wear T-shirts with ugly patterns. I think they call them Hawaiian shirts. But they're not button shirts. They're like the Walmart special, where it's like I like Hawaiian shirts because they button up, they look cool. Tom Selleck, right? But then you go and put it on a regular T-shirt. Nah, don't do that. Don't do that. No. And if you're a nurse or a doctor, please don't wear your scrubs into Walmart. That really upsets me because every time I go to the doctor now, I think you're bringing viruses in. Bring a change of clothes, please. Please bring a change of clothes.
Oh, jeez. I don't think that there's anything else that can really be said other than this is a big pile of stupidity. So let's move on.
Hold on, before we move on, I am trying to get these episodes now downloaded, so we're going to have to be a little expressive about the topic. Because I might be giving them to Indie Volt. But I'm just going to read it and we'll go on from it quickly. A Lowe's customer claims employee's Black Panther t-shirt, that's right, Black Panther t-shirt, is racist. Yes, I know I'm not making this up. This is an actual thing. The t-shirt says Black Panther, Wakanda forever. Not only am I insulted that you don't even know a movie, like, look, you don't have to know comics, but this thing made $1 billion at the box office.
Yeah.
Take your head out of your ass. Like, I know things about rappers, and I'm not into rap music. I know things about Taylor Swift, and I don't follow Taylor Swift because I pay attention to the world around me. Take your head out of your ass. And, stop calling people Karen. Yes, it's racist. I know you don't think it's racist, but it is because you're making fun of only one white person who's a female. Find something else because you know what? Some of us know a Karen. And our poor friends Karens are dealing with some shit right now, and it's not fair. Find another thing to call them. Like, how about racist? How about ugly people? How about scum of the earth? Because that's what it takes to do this. He's risking his well-being by still being at work as an essential employee, and you're going to fuck with him because you don't know the Black Panther's a comic book? You have a phone. Fucking Google it before. I was a retail manager. I don't understand how these retail managers went up to this guy and asked him to change their T-shirt. I am disgusted by that. This kid should sue.
I wouldn't have told him to change a damn thing. I would have told the customer, is like, it's a movie. Shut up. And I would walk away from it. There comes to customer service is customer service, obviously, but there comes a point where you also have to stand up for your employees. And I feel like this would have been one of those instances, he's wearing a movie T-shirt.
I would have walked right over to her and I'd be like, "Do you know who? Come here, buddy. Come here. Your T-shirt, she says, is racist." Right in front of him. Can you explain what Black Panther is? I'll be right here to make sure that she can't say that you made something up or lied about it.
Yeah.
And trust me, my managers used to be like, "Rob, what did you say to the customer?" "Oh, I'll tell you what I said." And they're like, "You can't say that." I was like, "Tell me or I'm wrong." Because in this situation, it's wrong to even entertain a closed-minded idiot.
Yeah.
There are people wearing racist things. They're called Confederate flags. And I guarantee you, because this happened in Atlanta, I guarantee you they're dumb idiots walking around Lowe's with Confederate flags on baseball hats or something. And I bet you she wouldn't say anything. So this really upsets me.
To tackle on top of that, in Pennsylvania, there was a protest with a whole bunch of people walking around with swastikas. How are you going to come out?
Protest? That's a criminal effect, and we should have the army there. We fought the Nazis. Anytime that someone decides to show up with swastikas, the United States Army should show up with fucking tanks and be like, "And what? You want to go? You want to go? We'll start back up." Come on.
And it blows my mind that we're gonna throw a temper tantrum about not even ask hey, what's the shirt for? If you're really that ignorant and have had your head ostriched in the ground for the past 5-6 years, just out of curiosity, why don't you ask, "Hey, what's the shirt about?" Maybe engage in discourse instead of going to run to go tattle on somebody behind their back for something that you don't understand. It's just bullshit.
There was this thing we used to do back in the day. What did they call it? Oh yeah, minding your own fucking business.
Yeah.
Try that. Jesus Christ. I'm gonna be nice to all those watching.
Oh, thank God. We can move on to something else.
Move on now because I'm starting to get red-faced. The devil's coming out. But seriously, if that woman watches this show, from the bottom of my heart, fuck you. Keanu Reeves is writing a comic book called...
The premise of this is cool as shit.
What's the name, Michael?
It's called Berserk.
Why is it spelled that way? Are they fucking with dyslexic people? Is that what's going on here?
No, it's just one of those things where they're trying, I think that they're probably trying to avoid any copyright, any kind of trademark infringement because of the manga Berserk from Japan, which is an all-time favorite of mine. But on top of that, giving it kind of the modern, the quote unquote modern aesthetic without having any consonants or what have you. But the premise is that he's an immortal warrior, and he gets tapped by a contracting agency by the U.S. government to fight for them. In return, they will give him information of who he was in his past. It's kind of like Wolverine meets John Wick.
I like it because Keanu Reeves is, I think, a pretty good guy. From what I've seen, he's been good. I know a couple people every so often have something negative. And I said this yesterday on my You're Not Alone video that I do nightly, trying to just give people somewhere to always be once a day so they know that there's always going to be something during this weird time that we live in. And I said, we judge people we don't even know by the few minutes that we see them. And we make these character profiles about them. Keanu Reeves, I don't know the guy. I don't have any reason to think he's not a genuine guy. He picks great movies. He acts in them really well. I used to be one of those people who used to make fun of him for Speed. You know, I thought it was hilarious when they did speed reading, and the bus blew up. Keanu Reeves in speed reading. The cat in the boom. But he's really shown, and I look forward to this one. I will definitely be getting this book. And I put in the fact that CNN covered it just because they covered it, and I like when the mainstream media covers this. So there we go. But we're going to move on to something else that's cool. Marvel's coolest Black Panther has the power of Venom 2. This just looked badass. I just wanted to show this because everyone talks about how Marvel has lost its ability to tell a good story and be exciting. I saw this and I was like, yeah, I would want to see what happens with that. Although I will say I wanted this character to be a villain. This just looks like a baddie.
Yeah, and it looks really cool. My big thing is that this has been a trope that Marvel has been doing. So like I don't even know if this is like a legit thing or this is just one of those, because you remember they did a whole shit ton of Venomized variants for everybody. I just, for me, it's going, like, as cool as this is, it's going to take a lot more than just a really cool design to sell me back after, you know, being pretty consistently disappointed with how they've handled some of my favorite characters.
I'm always open for them to invite me back. I'm not really a fan of the X-Men right now. I love that they're all back. It just feels like it's too much too quickly.
I liked everything set up in House and Powers, and then since then it's kind of tailspin, and I was really disappointed by giant-sized X-Men giant-sized X-Men Magneto that came out, which I had been really anticipating because I've liked everything that every single time Hickman's written Magneto on this run, it's been really good. And to see him drop the ball completely on that book, I was just like, oof, why?
Well, this is a bad show for you to be on because we also found out that Eddie is coming back. Eddie Brock is coming back to be Venom.
I thought he was already back as Venom. What? I'm very confused.
No, he disappeared. He had disappeared for a while.
Oh,
and we find out in the latest issue the reason he's disappeared is he wound up being taken, and he has to make a decision. Read the article, and remember, read all the articles here. And I don't know why the link didn't work. We'll fix that in the background as soon as we get off air. And remember, all these links here, I want you guys to be able to click on them, check out the big stories. The reason we're not going to different pages anymore is for the last couple weeks, every time we go to a page, there's an ad that plays. I have to rush around and try to end it. That's why we brought images over here to our newsroom. We want you to check out these sites like Screen Rant, and we want you to check out CNN when they're covering in Great Games Radar. So and I'll do a better job of making sure to tell you where I got the stories actually going forward. Usually we opened up the link and I didn't have to do it. It's just a new habit I'll have to put in. But yeah, Eddie's back. I read it. I'll be honest. It's going to be interesting what happens with Eddie going forward.
Okay. I mean, I'll take a look. Oh yeah, as I said, like, I love Marvel. I grew up a Marvel kid, so a good Marvel story I'll always take a look at. It's just, it's very hard for me to put faith in the overall brand when I feel like I've been kind of done dirty for the past 2-3 years.
I don't care. Comics are one of those things that they change so often.
Yeah. I
don't take it serious for too long. I've had my moments where I didn't want to go back to DC, and I didn't go back to DC for a few years. The Bat Bunny almost ended it. Snyder was the only thing. Snyder was the writing, and Snyder kept me a fan. But then it got a little weird. This Batman Metal, that's interesting. What they're doing with Damian is interesting. So I don't ever hold it against them. I hope they listen to the fans. And I figure if I'm not buying the comic book, and when people ask me, I'm not trashing Marvel. I'm not excited by Marvel. Just being honest.
Yeah.
I hope they hear that. Because, you know, when you complain too much, let's be honest, when your significant other or someone you're dating comes at you and they're like, oh my God, blah, 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 you're not listening. But when they come up to you and they sit you down and they have that conversation, there is nothing worse in the existence of mankind than someone you're dating saying, or you're married to, when you get home, I want to have a talk. And it's calm. Like, you want the fight at that point. It is calm. You're like,
oh, shit.
Sorry, whatever I did. You're apologizing. You're not even wrong yet. You're whatever it is I did wrong. Like, you've convinced yourself of everything. Like, you're making excuses for things you don't even know if you're really responsible for. You're like, it's just better to I did kill JFK. I didn't mean it. Please don't be mad at me.
I did kill Princess Di. I'm sorry.
I wasn't even in England, but it was me. So that's what I always look at. Like when I comment about Marvel and stuff like that, I'm just honest. I'm very calm and very honest. Yeah. So I think when you get too emotional, outside of kidding, you lose the merit of it. So that's why I don't ever really badmouth it.
And we've got this Dark Ages event that's announced. We don't know a lot about. I have the theory that since they're bringing on Tom Taylor, who did Deceased, what I think Dark Ages will be is they recently got the acquisition for Aliens and Predator. I think that this is going to be effectively Avengers versus the Aliens and Predator, with Tom Taylor having his background that he has. I could be completely wrong.
Yeah, real quick, for some reason I got quiet because we just suddenly got all these different things in here. We did see that Karen, not Karen Grant. It's not a Grant. This is a Karen Dixon. A Karen Dixon. I'm confused. Doesn't Lowe's wear a vest as well? Yeah, you'd kind of wonder about that. Why this became? I guess he didn't have his vest on at that moment.
It depends on what department you're working at.
Yeah, because I think the paint people don't always wear it when they're mixing. Or he could have been on a break. They don't actually talk about it in the story, where this all happened. But they did show his shirt, and his shirt says Wakanda Forever. So, it is what it is. Artha Michaela Jade says, yes, there comes a point when we need to grow up and educate yourselves. That's right. That's right. I try to go out of my way and educate myself as much as I can on everything I can. Rob, I am drawing, working, but listening, brother. Thanks, Lance. Good to hear from you, man. How you been? Eddie's already back all of 2020. Said I thought it was weird too, but apparently he's not back from the comic book. He's been missing, and that's one thing that bothers me about Marvel. Marvel used to have a seamless timeline. That seems to have gone away in the last couple of years because now they're revealing that Eddie's been missing. So I think that they did a jump. I think what really happened here, guys, some more stuff was supposed to happen because this was a free comic book day thing, and everything got pushed. And I think they were supposed to have a big event that got canceled because of the the pandering of this year. Because you can't say that word or we get taken down, apparently. So the big P of the year, and I think that caused it. But yeah, I mean, I heard he was back, but apparently he wasn't, or. Some people are thinking maybe that wasn't the Eddie you thought it was, and it was actually one of those. How do you say it? The green guys from the movie. Yeah, one of those guys have been faking being Venom, and they apparently had a symbiote. So I don't know. It's confusing. We're gonna figure it out though. And he's missing a hand and got a son and a beard. Yes. And they're explaining it. So that is part of it, and. Yeah, I don't want to give away any spoilers, but yes, the son has something to do with that, and I'll leave it at that. Yes. So, I don't know. I guess I haven't been following the Venom enough. I guess he's been there, but so I don't know why they're talking about the fact that he's back then. Now I'm confused. So that article, it sets something up cool though. There's going to be a really big event, and there's two big events, and I'm giving Marvel credit because they're doing two very different events. But have you seen this? Michael, have you checked out Dark Ages?
Yeah, no, and that's what I was
No,
talking
but I mean,
about.
have you seen this?
I saw that. I saw one panel that Tom Taylor had posted up on his Twitter, but I did not see this one.
Yeah, Tony's becoming starting to become more machine after this one, and like Mike's saying, maybe we're gonna see aliens and predators show up. Maybe because the whole premise for you guys who don't know is electronics aren't working.
Oh, okay. Well, it's definitely different. Like I didn't hear that it's the premise. I knew that it was coming out, and Taylor had posted up some stuff, but there hadn't been a lot of information let out. But when I
Right
had
here,
looked into
go
it,
to comicbook.com. It's now available on Indie Advocates newsroom. I mean, Comic Book Advocates newsroom. I'm thinking Indie Advocates because we talked about the history of the site this weekend, and yeah, they announced it. So Tony's suit goes dark.
that's really cool.
And he goes through a plane and loses a leg.
Yeah, because like the only thing that I knew about it was that Tom Taylor was writing it, and he had posted up some artwork from it that looked really cool, and that it isn't in continuity. So I was like, this would be like a good like given Tom Taylor's background with Deceased and having it kind of be a pseudo horror kind of book, having the aliens and Predator come in would make sense to me. But I mean, that sounds like a really cool concept as well.
Yeah, I like the fact that they're finally just not trying to make everything part of the continuum of storytelling. They're actually giving, like, they're almost bringing back the what if, but making it a little more serious.
Exactly. And I think that that's kind of one of those things that Marvel could really use right now to kind of cool off the engines on continuity and allow a team of very competent people to come together and get a plan going of where they're going to go to kind of fix that stuff. But in the meantime, create smaller character-driven stories that are just there for people to enjoy. Like things like the Dark Knight Returns. Dark Knight Returns doesn't fit into continuity anywhere, but it's an iconic Batman story that people really like. And so doing stuff like that, I think, is honestly what Marvel should be doing, is just character-driven stories that get the readers back onto the same page of appreciating what Marvel's putting out again. Because as of right now, the majority of what I have seen from Marvel has not been particularly well received.
Yeah, I mean, Marvel definitely needs to. I think all of them need to step their game up. And we'll see if they can or can't. Robert Kirkman's apparently not done with the Walking Dead, at least not the issues. He's coming back to color him, I guess, to draw interest.
Yeah, I know that he had announced that they were doing a Negan Returns book.
Transform?
So like it's very odd. I wonder if they're doing this to kind of prepare for a spin-off following Negan and set in the Walking Dead universe. But I mean, I don't see the downside for this. It's just an extra way to make some bucks if he's bringing in he's got a great colorist coming in to bring the book to color, which there's a massive market for. So good on him.
Sorry, I got Jaxie asking me for something real quick.
Oh,
I want to talk
good.
about this. Did you know about this? This just came out.
I did see this.
So talk to us about it. I know you're going to geek out at this.
I'm not a huge fan of the Batman Who Laughs. I thought it was a cool concept, but I felt that the story in particular with him kind of let me down when they were doing the Dark Knight's Metal the first go around. I think that the best one of those evil Batman where it was either the Red Death, the one of him in the Flash, and or the one where he becomes the new God of War. I'm blanking on what it's.
Sorry, I'm getting bullied by a 5-year-old who wants candy.
That's all. These things happen.
I think that's really cool. So now Archie's Comics is going to also launch comics based on Stan Lee. What are your thoughts on that? They're going to, and it's not written by Stan Lee, so
these are characters that Stan Lee created. This is going to be either hit or miss, because like Stan Lee tried to kind of do something similar back in the 2000s. When he was focusing on, like, I'm blanking on what I think it was literally called like Stan Lee Productions. I think something like that. He had his own company, and he tried to do his own comics where he effectively went into all these characters that he created but didn't do anything with. And some of them were really solid, others of them weren't. So I think that's what we're going to get here. Is like it'll all depend on how the competency of the creative teams that are put on it, and how they handle these characters. It doesn't matter how genius of a creator you have. Not every idea is going to be a smash hit, and so we'll see how this goes. I honestly think that you'll probably get some of these books that'll be really good. You'll probably get some of these books that kind of miss the mark. It'll just all depend on how they're handled.
I could definitely see it. There being some hits in there.
Yeah,
I do too. I think we're going to see something big come out of this. Stan Lee's legacy. A lot of people don't realize Marvel paid him to stop creating as competition. They actually brought him back on, gave him a paycheck so he'd stop, because they were worried about him actually going out and creating something big and then being embarrassed by it. And there was a lawsuit recently with his estate, and then Archie Comics out of nowhere. I did not see this coming. I did not see Archie getting the rights.
Yeah, that's definitely one of those things where if you were going to think of any comic company to be getting the acquisitions to Stan Lee's other properties that he made outside of Marvel, Archie would not be anywhere close to the list that I would expect.
All right, moving on to what should have been our main story this week. So this should have been what we were going to end the program with and talking about. Comic-Con at home. I have not made it at all a secret that I am displeased with San Diego Comic-Con suing a smaller convention and playing big shot over someone. But this is a year where you just let that stuff go. It's time to mend. It's time to support. With that in mind, I like what they're doing. I am a little nervous because I saw on the news today your way to get the content. But I think they might just be searching for emails. Which, I mean, if you got to give an email to be part of this, for what they're bringing, it's probably more than worth giving up an email. And just give a fake email if you're really worried. I do it all the time. So, and you bastards, when I talk about signing up for the email list, you better not give me a bad one. But we do have to. We're going to come back and talk about this in just a minute. But we do have to break for an ad from Geek Insider itself while we're thinking about it. So on the other side of this, we'll let Michael start talking about it. As soon as the video goes off, Mike, just tell us what you think. And what are you kind of expecting from this? Or is there anything you're excited about? We'll be back in just a minute.
We'll be back right after this quick break. For Geek Insider advertising opportunities, contact advertising@geekinsider.com. We offer space on the website, in the daily newsletter, sponsored posts, and advertising space on our podcast. For details, contact advertising@geekinsider.com.
I mean, it's a great ad, short, sweet, to the point.
No, about the Comic-Con.
Oh, sorry. I completely misunderstood what you were asking. I was like, okay, great ad. For the San Diego Comic-Con, I think I've actually talked with you about this on one of the other shows. I think that doing the Comic-Con from home is a cool concept, and I will say that if you are, getting you're going to get a chance to do all these panels and everything that you might not necessarily have gotten to do before. And I think that it'll allow for a lot more accessibility for the audience, which I do think is really cool. It's Comic-Con without, like, I think you had made a joke about it as like, how can you call it a Comic-Con if you're not paying for overpriced food and this, that, the other? And so it's like it's a night. I honestly think that this could be something really good. It'll all depend on how it's run and how they handle everything. But I'm pretty excited for this.
This is GalaxyCon, you got to give credit to. They've tried really hard, but they haven't measured up to what a Comic-Con is yet. I want to know if San Diego, I will give credit. San Diego is the only con that could possibly do an online con and make it matter.
Yeah.
I stress this. As soon as the online environment came to be, Comic-Cons were tried online. They have never typically worked. Now, you can sell comics. Yes, absolutely. We can do panels online. We proved that during the spring when we went live every day for 53 straight, 50. No, I think we stopped at 55. 55 straight panels in a 2-month period. It was crazy. We just kept going. So you can do all that. But can you actually capture the excitement? What I'm going to be looking for is the streaming. Because a lot of times when we're at a Comic-Con, no one admits this, but it's true. We're overhearing other people. We're hearing what people are talking about. We're seeing what people are excited about. That kind of draws us into new fandoms. When you see a group at a table or a big gathering, suddenly, Funko Pops started because other people were standing by in these ugly-ass toys. And now everyone wants to buy an ugly-ass toys, but no one wants to admit they're ugly-ass toys. They are. Stop collecting Funkos. They don't do anything. They're just a piece of plastic that doesn't even look like the characters. It looks like one character redone all the time. Stop it. That's just my opinion. But I think they have the opportunity to do something huge here. I really think, because I've called bullshit on online cons, and I don't think half of them have even come close to being an online con. And I want to see, because they're also talking about showing exclusives, showing vendors and stuff. I will be paying attention. But you can't keep we just did the indie event. I know people watched what they wanted to watch and left. This is harder now because even with the panels that are going to be supposedly live, and I have a couple friends who are going to be on a couple of panels, I don't know if I watch them live necessarily, just because it's like wrestling. Are you a wrestling fan, Michael?
A little bit. I'm not as into it as some others, but like I know enough where like I'm not going to be completely lost if you talk about it.
Oh, this is simple. Have you watched it since the Big P has begun?
Not since the big. I didn't watch it, but I saw everything about the WrestleMania event and how they handled that, and it was, from what I understand, rather lackluster because you don't.
I liked it. Actually, there was a lot of WrestleMania I really enjoyed. The problem is being in that room with no one in it and not having that audience. Have you ever been at a show before it starts?
I've been at I haven't been at a show before it starts, but I do know that one of the big things for wrestling is when you are at
Comic-Con. Have you ever been at a Comic-Con before it starts?
No.
So when you're in this room, this big hall, and there's no one around, it's actually quiet. Like you could hear a pin drop half the time. You hear people talking like 2 aisles down because it's like this big echo chamber, like not even trying to make fun. It really is. Like if someone yells, it echoes when there's no one else in the room. That's kind of what these online cons feel like. Uh-oh. She wants to be on the show today. Echo, quiet. No, but it's kind of weird when you're in there, and you get used to it from being a fan to a creator very quickly. So it's a nice time to meet other creators and all that. But that's what these online cons feel like, the thing before the big event, except we never get to the big event. It'd be like you bring someone home, you guys are flirting, you guys are like kind of getting to that moment, you're going to the bedroom, and then everything just stops. And that's it. That's what these feel like. Like suddenly and abruptly someone's phone rings and everything doesn't get to finish. So they have, if they can't do it, here's the big problem. If they can't pull off this online con, who can? New York could be the next one. And I'm hearing a lot of things that New York Comic-Con will not happen. New York.
I don't have it. New York is this kind of like, it's this weird convention because we've had discussions on how like, hey Katrina, We've had discussions on how like conventions for Comic-Cons have kind of shifted to pop culture rather than just comics. And so like San Diego Comic-Con is the big boy. It's the one where you get all the movie announcements. It's where everybody does like that big Hall H panel, these big Hall H panels where they introduce all the cool stuff that they're planning on doing the next year. New York Comic-Con is kind of treated as, yeah, well, that's where we'll send our TV shows and everything like that. It's nowhere near as grand. It's still a big convention. It still gets a lot of people going to it, but I don't think that you're like everybody tunes in for San Diego Comic-Con because of the reputation that it has built with, that's where you get all the big movie announcements for the industry. Like that's where you're going to see like the big stars.
Now, let me ask you, do you think that's going to happen this year? Do you think there's going to be big announcements? I mean, Marvel's signed up. I know that Marvel has. DC, I don't know. I haven't heard a lot of DC in this.
So this is what I will say. Marvel is more than certainly going to be making some big announcements at San Diego Comic-Con because they've been quiet all summer. Not all summer, throughout the Big P. This is one of those things where like time has been discombobulated for me. But they've been very quiet, and Marvel needs to start talking. And the best opportunity that they have is SDCC 2020. Regardless of anything, they need to be giving some updates on things because you've got people are waiting to figure out what's going on with Black Widow. Are they going to wait for it to release in theaters? Are they going to do a digital release like everybody else has been doing? What's the plan? And then Eternals. You've got all the Disney Plus shows, everything like that. So I guarantee you we're going to be hearing some stuff from Marvel, Disney, and maybe even a little Star Wars at SDCC this year. But DC, we won't hear a thing from because they are saving all of that for the DC Fandom event in August. And I guarantee you we're going to be getting some huge announcements in August from DC Fandom in regards to things like the Snyder Cut, potential
being closed. You're going to hear they're killing the app.
Oh, yeah. No, like that's... Dude, they announced that all the things coming to HBO Max in August, and it's like the last of the only thing left on DC Universe from the shows that isn't on HBO Max or on the CW is Titans, which has kind of, after the finale of the second season, has killed everyone's interest in it.
Yep.
I
didn't renew my app because I was like, no. Stargirl
is great. Doom Patrol, phenomenal.
I haven't watched it because I was so let down by Teen Titans. By the Titans thing, I was so like...
You need to see Doom Patrol.
I don't have the app.
With season 1.
I don't have the app. I'm going to get HBO, though, through AT&T, so I'll get it that way.
HBO Max, totally worth it. Doom Patrol is one of the best superhero TV shows to come out. For me, it's on par with Daredevil season 1.
Okay. I'll definitely give it a try now that I've seen Stargirl. Stargirl's okay, yes, because I didn't like what they did with the rest of the season of Flash this year. I actually am glad for the Big P because all the CW shows after Arrow died just went to hell.
Yeah.
Absolute just off the cliff, didn't even really acknowledge it, got weird. They started playing music in the middle of every episode. Yes, I caught that. No, I don't understand why suddenly. It's like CW went out and got like a contract with music people to try to make the shows more money, which is possible. Wrestling did it for a long time. But it was weird because they tried to build to this big fight montage that could have the music.
I just, for me, I feel like the CW shows lost a lot of heart around the time of like the Flash season 2 and Flash season 3 was okay, but it didn't live up to its 2 predecessors. Arrow always kind of struggled after its second season, and Legends of Tomorrow I never enjoyed. There were some promising things that they had with it, but I always kind of held the grudge that it really you took the rejects from the other shows and gave them a story ripped off of Booster Gold's 52 pickup.
Yeah, it's weird, but I mean, we'll see next year. And like I said, I hope the shows come back, so I'm a fan of them. Just because you have a bad season, I won't turn my back on a show for one bad season. If the season starts off rough, like, yeah, I might walk away. Yeah. But I give them credit for what they did. To this date, the best, better than Netflix. CW did a better job than Netflix, in my opinion.
Overall, I would agree with you. I would say that, like, the superhero shows that Netflix did well overshadow the CWs, but there's a lack of consistency.
Well, Netflix, too, has a problem where they went too long. Everything was too long. Everything was dragged out. Could have added so much better content. Luke Cage both seasons could have been one season. There was so much stalling in that. And that's just whatever they were doing over there. It was disappointing. But I do want to, Josh had actually updated us. Talking about Eddie being back, he went missing for 2 issues. Okay, so he did disappear. So it was right. He did disappear during Absolute Carnage. A long story short, how he lost his hand. Long story short, he lost his hand. His kid turns the Venom suit into a Trex to save him. I'm not sure what a Trex is. T-Rex?
Probably.
T-Rex, right? Yeah. I actually might go back and look that up. A Venom suit becomes a T-Rex? That's interesting. I'm all for that. Because like I said, I don't read all the comics necessarily, and I haven't actually caught up on a lot of the more recent comics outside of, trying to download them when I can off the places that you can legally and correctly. The DC app I like because it did give you the books. It was late, but you get the books, and then I get graphic novels. And Venom's an interesting thing that I've watched on the side. I'll tell you, the Dark event, though, for Marvel, that I might make myself go to the store for.
Yeah.
But thank you, Josh, for filling us in. That's why I miss you being a co-host. You're so knowledgeable. And Katrina said hi. All right, so we're going to go to the top story now. The comments are going to be done for now. We might bring them back. We might not, depending on how the Oh, real quick, just a cute thing, because I knew this would make Michael smile.
I love. So this is from DC's Hope at the World's End, and this first mission. Honestly, as great as this moment was, because it's followed up by an undead kite man smearing across the invisible jet, which was hilarious. The best moment of this was Damian visiting the graves of Bruce, Dick, and Tim.
Yeah.
Oh, brought me to tears. That, and then followed up by Stephanie Brown being like,
No. No spoilers.
It's so good.
Maybe next week it'll have made news more, but for now it's still a spoiler. We don't do spoilers on the show.
Oh God, it was so good. This issue was fantastic, and then this came out, I think, the same week that Dead Earth #1 came out, which is the one where John, Damian, and Cass are leading a new Justice League, and they've come back to save Cyborg on Earth. And that was tremendous. The first issue of that was fantastic. I was very happy. Like at this point, I'm kind of just like, Tom Taylor, please just write a spiritual successor to Super Sons, focusing on the next generation of superheroes with like John, Damian, and Cass leading the way on Earth. I would throw all of my money at it. I would.
All right, so it's time for our main story.
Oh,
here we go. This can't not be our main story.
I know.
Dynamite faces creator backlash over COMiX's allegiance and cancels cover. And this is directly from Dynamite Comics. And speaking with Cecil, neither one of us realized the cover would be so polarizing. We discussed and are not. We discussed, I guess he meant we discussed it. Twitter, you have to get rid of some words. Yeah. We discussed and are not moving forward with the cover or the campaign. Nick, I don't know how you say your last name. CEO, what's that?
Barucci,
thank you. CEO and publisher of Dynamite. So here's the controversy. There was a cover going to be made by Cecil. Cecil is well known as being part of COMiXgate, and other creators suddenly got upset and decided to gatekeep. There's no other way I can phrase that other than that. That is exactly what happened. They decided to use their influence to try to cancel something for no other effort, that they decided that everything with COMIXgate is wrong and they don't like the politics behind it. Now, there's a video going on around there that I posted on my page showing who the people in COMIXgate are, and you'd be surprised the diversity that's within COMIXgate, despite what you hear about most ComicGate stuff. And look, Ethan says shit that's wrong. He says controversial stuff. He takes shots at people. He makes jokes at people. There are a lot of more visually seen, more in the mainstream mindset and YouTube shows and getting more views, saying inappropriate things. And so does Dave Chappelle. And if you don't get it by now that a lot of what they're doing is an act and a reaction to this culture that is trying to cancel them, then you're missing the point of what it's being done. Ethan had come out and said directly that that he does this because it pisses people off. He's reacting to a culture that is being made to eliminate him. And he doesn't want to have that happen. He doesn't want to be forgotten. He wants the fans to make the decision on what they should buy. And I full-heartedly agree. You're, as a fan, you get to decide. We said about not watching a show, not buying a comic. That's what fans get to do. Creators trying to cancel each other, we just talked about this on The Devil's Advocate, and now as a follow-up, we're going to have to go talking about when did creators, the dangers actually of creators being more important than comics. And you see that. There are some names like Gail Simone, some other creators who are all deciding who gets to work in comics, and that's just not right. I'm not going to say anything nasty about anyone else other than that's a fascist idealism for you to decide who gets to work where. There are a lot of people I don't like. I mean, don't tell Michael, but I don't really like him too much. But we do the show. We get along.
I'm apparently kind of an asshole. It's all good.
It's okay. I'm an asshole too. But no, seriously. Ultimately, you work with each other in an industry. Oh, I've never heard. You know, I've been in retail and people don't like each other. But I've never heard like 4 managers being like, nope, I'm sorry. I don't believe in his politics. I can't work with him anymore. That's never happening at work because you'll all be fired or demoted. I know one time they didn't like all these supervisors and one manager got together to complain about the way a manager was treating everyone. You know what happened? They transferred the manager a month later, but in that month, every one of them got demoted because they stepped out of line in how they approached it because they gave an ultimatum. And this ultimatum bullshit's got to stop. Gail has every right to decide that she doesn't want to continue to work, as all of them do, because of someone else. That is their right. Comics have to get to the point where comics literally go, okay, there's an indie creator out there. There's a comic pro out there who will happily take your job. We have made the creators simply divas at this point that need to be cut down to size and reminded comics come before you. And that stands for me too. Look, I said at the beginning of the show, I used to be someone who stood up and talked about fan art and said fan art is a negative thing. It will lead to there being Kickstarters about Star Wars. And guess what? It did happen. There are Kickstarters about Star Wars. But you know what the difference is? DC, Image, Marvel, Disney, none of them have stepped up and stopped what's happening. They've allowed it. And we're kind of allowing that right now in comics with these creators getting out of hand. You should be able to quit, but there's 1,000 people who want that job. I'm very disappointed in Dynamite Comics. Very disappointed. I would have said, fuck you, leave. I'll tell you that right now. In Terraform, if someone told me I don't want to work with someone who's part of your thing, I'd be like, well, it was nice working with you. That would be how I would approach that. Of course, I'd have to go to the other founders and there'd be a vote. But I'll be honest, publicly, I'm not letting anyone draw lines. I want to work with people who create comics. Because the person who's saying they won't create with people, today it starts with one person, tomorrow it's 5, then it's 10, then they'll only work with their friends. You see where this goes?
Yeah. And, for me with this whole situation, I I have a lot of supporters from the COMiXgate community. They're good. They're good people. In fact, on just the other day, somebody was asking me about what COMiXgate was, and I talked about. I was like, that I feel at the core, COMiXgate is a philosophy that the consumer matters. That creative teams should be pushed to please their consumer the best way they can, and not just push out like subpar stories because they have a locked-in contract. But just like in any movement, there are people that go a bit too far, and sometimes those people can be the loudest. But for most of COMiXgate, that drive to be what the consumer wants and give good quality books is what goes for it. And so to have somebody pushed out because of their affiliation to that movement is wrong to me. It shows ignorance about what that movement is supposed to be, just because you don't like the views of that person. And now I do know that they had for me, another big thing was they had released some preview art, because it wasn't just a cover. It was he had a whole book coming out, and that's the thing, they're not moving forward with that campaign at all. And one of the page previews had some stuff in there that, while might not have been meant to be directly offensive, I could have seen pissing off some people. And I know that was probably the whole point of the book, because it was so very clear by the cover that it's meant to be satirical. We are in this whole age where there is a lot of sensitivity about what's being put, and I'm not agreeing with it one way or another, but I think that didn't help the situation either, because it gave people that didn't already like Cecil, that were like, I don't want to work with him, ammunition to be like, see, this is how he treats these instances.
Here's the problem with all that. The back and forth and all that, you're not letting the consumers decide. Exactly. You know what? You really think that it's going to suck? Let it go out and show that, hey, look, I tried to warn you. I can't tell you how many times in life I argue with people I collaborate with, and I just stop at a point. Not because I don't believe in it, but because sometimes they need to be shown. Sometimes a person has to make that mistake to realize it. I've done that in my career. I've had to make mistakes that very clearly were like, oh, I done fucked up. I shouldn't do that again. I definitely won't do that again. Sometimes that's just life. Sometimes we hit a point. I'm trying to stop myself from being so washed out because I look so like a friendly ghost. We got to get to this point where we stop trying to cancel each other and even be jealous of each other. So many people trying to tear down each other, trying to attack each other. Whatever happened to making good comics? Why don't we do that? Why don't we do that a lot more? If Gail Simone doesn't want to work with someone, she should have that absolute right. But if Gail Simone wants to decide who's in a publisher, Gail Simone should go out and create a publisher. Yeah. She should pick her own publisher and decide who she works with. She shouldn't have the right to strong-arm Dynamite. And I have nothing against Gail Simone. She has done wonderful things in this industry. Her name is the biggest name that was brought up. There are other names that are brought up, so we can bring any of the names up. The end result, it's ugly. You don't want to work somewhere, that's fine. You shouldn't work there. Dynamite's really the one who made the mistake. As a matter of fact, I don't blame Gail Simone. Gail Simone actually didn't say much to it, actually. She did say, don't bother. I don't know what to say yet. I'm bothered by this. I will answer when I feel right. So to credit to her, it's not her fault. It's not anything she's doing. She's just expressing herself. Dynamite Comics should be, first off, you shouldn't be on social media. They should have it in their contract. You have a grievance, you bring it to us. You don't bring it to us, we don't want to work with you. Whatever happened to the standard of professionalism? Oh, you have a problem? Then good, leave. There are other people who are hungry that we can hire. Dynamite has convinced themselves that these names matter so much. Let's be honest, Dynamite. I mean, you're probably selling an amount of comics, but you're no Marvel or DC. Maybe you need to start getting new creators. You really haven't been in the conversation for a few years. This is the first time you're in a conversation and you back down. Yeah. You just pissed off all of COMIXgate. If you go to Indiegogo, COMIXgate fandom has money. Also has money. Yeah. They back when they believe. You just hurt yourself. I don't think anyone's going to support you out of this because we see a lot of that. I mean, who got their copy of New Warriors #1?
No.
Oh, wait, that never happened. You see, when people go out to make these types of comics that are insulting to people, it stops working. That's why all these titles get canceled. Despite having such prominence in comics right now, where we're allowing a lot of, and some of it's very important, open conversations. Again, let the fan base decide. Absolutely agree with that. But when you have all these people trying to only bring in their like-minded friends, you get an echo chamber of creation. We've seen a lot of that at Marvel. DC, I think, has had a good, vast amount of creators come and go. You know, I give them credit. Marvel, it seems to be now reaching in and taking some of the DC guys and going, run with this. And maybe we're getting to a better point here, but this is a step backwards to me. When you allow creative people to decide who works in the publishing company that they're in, unless they have stake in it, they shouldn't say shit about it. They want to leave, they should be allowed to leave. Dynamite should be like, bye. Just imagine telling Walmart that. I mean, just for a minute, really think about that. Walmart, someone goes up to someone in Walmart and goes, well, I'm not going to stay here and work for them. Do you know what they're going to do the minute your back is out of the office and you turn your back? They're calling someone to replace you.
Exactly.
Comics used to be that way. Comics used to be more important about the creators. And I believe in creator rights. I don't think creator rights should be affected by this. But I certainly also believe that creators shouldn't be in the boardroom unless they are part of the boardroom. And right now, this is what's happening here. And it's disgusting because it's going to lead to favoritism.
Yeah.
It just does. The minute you start saying who can't work there, you're already planning who can. I don't care who works anywhere. You know, you can create, I mean, Karen Dixon put out one of the worst comics of the year. If we have the Independent Creator Awards, we might start a Razzie Awards just to give him an award for that book that he put out this year. It is that god-awful. He deserves the right to put his book out. No one should report his campaigns for how horrible they are. He should be allowed to find his fan base, and if he can, make millions of dollars. There, you know, people like bad movies. Maybe some people like bad comics. It's not my job to ever stop him. Now, the way he shipped the books, that's problematic. That is something that we can talk about all day because that's disrespectful to your fan base. That is unacceptable completely. But ultimately, you can't stop people. You can't stop people. They should all be able to do what they want. I'm always a fan of allowing people to create what they want. Do you. Back to the T-shirt. Stay in your lane. Remember I said that? Stay in your fucking lane. Mind your own business. If it's not directly about you, these other creators should just keep their mouth shut. The fact that they're going to social media means they're trying to signal. They're virtue signaling. Nothing about comics. Let me tell you, if Comicgate was really Nazis, we would have heard about it by now. They would have not been. No one was going to support. Well, not no one, but they wouldn't be making the money they're making. You know, they wouldn't be. If they were really Nazis, they wouldn't be. They wouldn't have the diverse group that they have behind it. Here's the truth. They just don't want to be forced to make every one of their comics fit your dimensions that you're putting out there and telling people what they have to create. That's the end result. No one wants to be told what to do. So with that in mind, lots of credit to Peter Simeti from Alterna Comics, who said, corporate comics scare easy. Good luck pulling that nonsense with an indie creator. We all started printing ash cans at home, selling copies by hand. We got to go where we got to where we are by being resourceful, creative, and determined. Cancel culture will be damned, we are here to say. You guys notice that I am called now the Uncanny Indie Devil? That's because people have come for me. Because I create books about fetish monsters and more. Because of the color of my skin, they just didn't want me around anymore because they thought I was expendable. It's the truth. People dislike me because I'm a man, because I'm a white man, because I'm a middle-aged white man, because I talk about books about fetish. And how dare I not only create a book about fetish, but created a book for children and all ages that people actually talk highly about. This bothers people. fuck you. I'm not going anywhere. You don't get to make me go anywhere. And as I come up, I'll make sure that there's room for people to be able to be creative as they want. I will kick your fucking gates down, melt them down, and make them shiny, reflective surfaces that I can go ooh to as I walk in and change the world of comics back to what it always should have been and always was, about the consumer. That's it. It's about our fans. If we're not focusing on our fans, Cecil could have brought new fans to Dynamite. That was a huge mistake. Controversy, people don't like it, then who's next, Dynamite? Who's next on the list that these people won't work with? Because you already bowed. You already showed them that you'll bow down. And you tried to be nice to Cecil on the way out. Guess what? You just made Cecil more money. Yeah. Next thing Cecil does, he'll get that money because there's sympathy for him now because you really fucked him. You did. You fucked him. There's no nice way to put that. You fucked him over. You fucked him over because some people who are talented, who are creators, and who put out a great product put themselves ahead of your business. It's just the truth. Doesn't matter how creative you are, they are hurting your business now. And if you allow that, it will only continue. Anything else to add?
No, I think you go ahead.
All right, guys. So on that note, I thank everyone for tuning in. Couple quick comments, but I'm going to let Mike say goodbye because he's got to run, and I'll close up the show without him.
Hey, guys. Thanks for tuning in. Sorry, I got to things are what they are. What was that echo? Anyways, Mike Loden, creator, writer of Elysian Fields. You can find me on Twitter at ElysianFields_0. Facebook under my name. We're 9 Rum Publishing. Check out our Indiegogo. It's closing up here in the next week or two. We'd love to have you come check it out. And
all right, man.
Always a pleasure, Rob.
Yep, and you'll see him on Tuesdays when we take over the 11 o'clock hour for the Comics Newswire. Thanks for being on, dude. I'll take it from here.
All right, buddy. Catch you in a bit.
Hey, everybody. We're going to wrap up the show now, and we're going to leave Peter Cimetti's quote there as we end the show today. I do want to Lance Footer had told us, I was told by another high on the art stool that I should not draw ever again. If you've seen Lance's art, you know that's just not true. Lance should be drawing, but I am still drawing. I'm glad to hear that. And Lance continues, being an artist, it's a buddy system. I can point out covers that are missing fingers, but it was a buddy that did it. And it's true. I mean, look, there's no way that comic books aren't. We try to help each other out. We help our friends out. We definitely try to help the people we care about, the people we are fans of too, get higher up in this industry, and we pass it along. We shouldn't be kneecapping people. If you're kneecapping people, it's only a matter of time before that's going to get you hate. And it's just the truth. Randy from Indie Vault, which is on tonight at 9 p.m., always says hate ain't creating, and it's true. There are too many people trying to tell other people what they should be creating. If you don't like someone, ignore them. Walk away from them. Unless you have to directly be involved with them, it shouldn't be your right to tell a business who to do business with. You don't have to buy the comic. You don't have to directly work with them. But I think, I'm just not going to work with them because I think this, and that. Every one of you in a whisper network are saying nasty things behind someone else's back. How are you not the same as COMiXgate? I leave you with that. That is seriously how I'm going to leave you today. I want you to think about that. If you're anti-COMiXgate and you're tearing COMiXgate down and calling them names that you can't back up and actually prove, how are you any different than COMiXgate? Or at least what you think COMiXgate is. Because a lot of times when I'm explaining COMiXgate, you guys get it completely wrong. It's not. All right, guys, we're out of here. Couple commercials on our way out. We'll be back tomorrow at noon for a crowdfunding show. It won't be pause. We don't have enough for a pause, and we don't have enough for a 7 reasons. It'll be a hybrid show. It won't be elevator pitch. It will be crowdfunding. Maybe we'll bring back the crowdfunding report for one day. We'll bring it back. Hopefully we have more Kickstarters in the pipeline coming. I'm going to send out a signal today asking you all to give us your Kickstarters. I have to go, but that's it. We'll talk soon.
This is COMiX Newswire giving you the buzz coming off the wire about the comic book industry. Turn that volume up and give us a few minutes to keep you in the loop of everything going on in the industry today.
ComicBookAdvocates.com is the global digital Comic-Con, but it's more than that, and you can be more too. Be more than just a fan. Become an advocate for comics like ComicBookAdvocates.com is for their creators, for their crowdfunding, for the very books they're creating, because we love comics.